Hey, what's up you guys, it's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to go into part 2 of chapter 12 of March by PC Cast and Kristen Cast, so let's get right into this video. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, I suggest you click off the video now. You have been warned. My hand found its way up to my temple. I could only feel the prickle of a stitch or two today, when there had been at least 10 yesterday. Very, very weird. And even weirder, I hadn't thought about the cut once this morning. I also realized I hadn't thought about my mom or Heath or even Grandma Redbird. No, I said suddenly, realizing Nefret and Damon were waiting for me to answer. No, my head doesn't hurt at all. Good. Well, you two better go before you're late. I know you'll love drama. I think Professor Nolan has just begun working on monologues. I was halfway down the hall, hurrying to keep up with Damien when it hit me. How did she know I was going to take drama? I just decided it this morning. Adult vamps know way too much sometimes, Damien whispered. Scratch that. Adult vamps know way too much all the time, especially when that vamp is a high priestess. In light of what I hadn't been telling Nefret, I didn't want to think about that too long. Hey y'all, Stevie Ray rushed up. How was Vamp Soch? Did y'all start the Amazons? It was cool. I was glad to change the subject from the two mysterious vampires. I had no idea they really cut off their right breast to keep them out of the way. They wouldn't have had to if they'd been as flat as me, said Stevie Ray, looking down at her own chest. Or me, sighed Damien dramatically. I was still giggling when they pointed me to the drama room. Professor Nolan didn't ooze power like Nefret. Instead, she oozed energy. She had an athletic but somehow pear-shaped body. Her brunette hair was long and straight, and Stevie Ray had been right. She had a serious Texas twang. Zoe, welcome. Have a seat anywhere. I said hi and sat beside the Elizabeth girl I recognized from Vamp Soch. She looked friendly enough, and I already knew she was smart. It never hurts to sit next to a smart kid. We're just about to begin choosing the monologues that each of you will present to the class sometime next week. But first, I thought you'd like to have a demonstration of how a monologue should be performed. So I asked one of our talented upperclassmen to stop by and recite the famous monologue from Ophelia written by the ancient vampire playwright Shakespeare. Professor Nolan paused and glanced out the window in the door. Here he is now. The door opened, and oh my dear sweet lord, I do believe my heart totally stopped beating. I'm positive my mouth flopped open. He was the most gorgeous young lad I'd ever seen. He was tall and had dark hair that did adorably. Perfect Superman curl thing. His eyes were an amazing sapphire blue, and oh hell, 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 it was the guy from the hall. Come on in, Eric. As usual, your entrance timing is perfect. We are ready for your monologue. She turned back to the class. Most of you already know 5th former Eric Knight and are aware that he won last year's worldwide House of Night monologue competition, the finals of which were held in London. He is also already creating a buzz in Hollywood as well as on Broadway for his performance last semester as Tony in our production of West Side Story. The class is all yours, Eric. Professor Nolan beamed. As if my body was suddenly on automatic, I clapped with the rest of the class, smiling and confident. Eric stepped up to the little stage that was situated front and center in the large, airy classroom. Hi, how are you guys doing? He spoke directly to me. Directly to me. I could feel my face getting really hot. Monologues seem intimidating, but the key is to get your lines down and then to imagine that you're actually acting with a full cast of actors. Trick yourself into thinking you're not up here alone like this. And he began the monologue from Othello. I don't know much about the play except that it's one of Shakespeare's tragedies, but Eric's performance was amazing. He was a tall guy, probably at least 6 feet, but as he began to speak, he seemed to get bigger and older and more powerful. His voice deepened, and he took it on an accent I couldn't place. His incredible eyes darkened and narrowed into slits, and when he said Desmonda's name, it was like he was praying. It was obvious that he loved her, even before he spoke the concluding lines. She loved me for the dangers I had passed, and I loved her that she did pity them. As he said the last 2 lines, his eyes locked with mine, and just like that in the hall the day before, it seemed as if there was no one else in the room, no one else in the world. I felt a shiver deep inside of something very much like I'd felt the 2 times I'd smelled blood since I'd been marked. Only no blood had been spilled in this room. There was only Eric. And then he smiled, touched his lips to his fingers, as though he was sending me a kiss, and bowed. The whole class clapped like crazy, including me. Really, I couldn't help it. Now, that's how it's done, Professor Nolan said. So there are copies of monologues in the red bookshelves at the rear of the class. Each of you take several books and begin looking through them. What you're trying to find is a scene that means something to you, that touches some part of your soul. I'll be circulating and can answer any questions you have about individual monologues. Once you've chosen your pieces, I'll go through the steps you'll need to take as you prepare your own presentation. With an energetic smile and nod, she motioned for us to start looking through the zillions of monologue books. I still felt flushed and short of breath, but I got up with the rest of the class, even though I couldn't help peeking at Eric over my shoulder. He was unfortunately leaving the room, but not before he turned and caught me gawking at him. I blushed again. He met my eyes and smiled directly at me again, and then he was gone. "He's so fucking hot," someone whispered in my ear. I turned, and shockingly, Miss Perfect Student Elizabeth was staring at Eric and fanning herself. "Doesn't he have a girlfriend?" I blurted like an idiot. "Only in my dreams," Elizabeth said. "Actually, word has it that he and Aphrodite used to hook up, but I've been here for a few months, and it's been over between them and at least that long. Here you go." She tossed a couple of monologue books at me. "I'm Elizabeth, no last name." My face was a question mark. She sighed. "My last name was Ch12. Can you imagine when I got here a few weeks ago and my mentor explained that I could change my name to whatever I wanted it to be? I knew I was going to get rid of the Titsworth part, but then the whole issue of picking a new last name just stressed me too much, so I decided I'd keep my first name and not hassle with a last name." Elizabeth, no last name, shrugged. "Well, hi," I said. "There were really some odd kids here." "Hey," she said as we went back to our desk. "Eric was looking at you." "He was looking at everyone," I said, even though I could feel my face getting all hot and red again. "Yeah, but he was really looking at you." She grinned and added, "Oh, I think your colored in mark is cool." "Thanks." It probably looked weird as hell on my beet red face. "Any questions about choosing a monologue, Zoe?" Professor Nolan asked, making me jump. "No, Professor Nolan. I've done them before in drama at SIHS. "Very good. Let me know if I can clarify setting or character for you." She patted me on the arm and kept moving around the room. I opened up the first book and started to flip through the pages, trying unsuccessfully to forget about Eric and concentrate on monologues. I'm going to leave it off right there, and I will see you guys in part 3 of this chapter. Bye.